Hi guys, it's Jack here from the Zombie Box Project. Start things off really quickly. If you were watching Tuesday's video, you would know that Chris covered Asura's Wrath, which contains the most angry person in gaming history, Asura. Well, funnily enough, the demo was out on the same day. I highly recommend you try it, but I'm just going to give you a walkthrough, a little description of what you can expect from the demo, my impressions of the demo, and just my impressions of the game overall. So I'm going to split it up into two sections. We're going to look at the gameplay and we're going to look at the presentation. So to start things off, let's look at the gameplay. So the gameplay in Asura's Wrath really isn't something that I look forward to playing. It's a lot of quick time events mixed in with some button mashing. I'm really not a fan of that sort of stuff. Everything seems to rotate around this whole burst system. So what happens is you land your attacks, and once your rage meter is filled up, you can burst by pressing the right trigger on the Xbox 360. And this issues normally a cutscene where you got to tap a load of quick time events, as you can see. This was my first playthrough, so I'm not that good. And then stuff happens pretty much, and that's the best way to sum up the gameplay. You tap a load of buttons and stuff happens. It's really not that exciting. Yeah, it's great for the first 5 minutes. You're like, wow, look at me, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. But afterwards you're like, tap Y, excellent, tap B, excellent. It gets quite boring and it drains, and there's not much chance to change stuff up, because your only real attack, your physical attack, is to press B. So you're not really doing much. All you're doing is tapping B. There's no combos, nothing like that. Some of that stuff is cool when you get to throw rockets back at where they came from, and stuff like this when you can just go one-on-one with a huge cod-like creature. And I managed to get the perfect quick time event. And stuff like tapping B, well, it's alright once in a while, but it does occur a lot. And this demo was made up of 2 chapters. And I pressed B a hell of a lot. I think I pressed B more times in this game than I have in any other game, which is saying a lot. But it mixes up nice. As you can see, I'm bursting through this guy's back. I mean, how many times have you wanted to do that in a video game? That's one of those things that I can tick off on my list of 100 things to do before I die. This was interesting, this second chapter in the demo, where you were fighting against this dude with, who was just some sort of godlike creature. So you got to tap A at the right time to get up. Obviously I'm not very good at it, I'm failing quite hard, but then it kind of mixed it up because there was a bit of dodging involved when he gets out his sword. It's really, really good. So in this sort of situation, one-on-one with just this random guy, because it's a demo, I don't have a clue who he is, I assume he's some sort of teacher, it is really quite good fun. So you got to tap Y at the right time. It's used interestingly and it's varied, but not varied enough that every time it blows you away. That sort of stuff was excellent. I loved that. I loved dodging the whole flaming sword stuff. And I think that leads us nicely onto the next section, which is the presentation. Now the presentation in this game can be summed up in one cutscene, and here it is. Enjoy. A fat guy sitting on you. And that sums up the whole presentation aspect of Asura's Wrath. It's built upon epic things. But the problem with this is there's such an amount of epicness that everything seems to lose its impact. You see guys bigger than planets. You see guys stab swords through the earth. And you're like, okay, great, this is fantastic. But it happens so often, you just don't care. And I'd prefer to see some much more emotional, small, touching things, rather than this massive, massive god who's greater than the universe come and poke his finger into the earth. It's just not necessary. Really isn't necessary. And the art style isn't really distinct. I think if they'd put more thought into having a much more unique art style, then I would have been more impressed. But this sort of stuff I've seen so many times. Not the whole stabbing of someone through the earth sort of thing, but the whole art style. It's very, very common in games like Asura's Wrath. I think if we had a unique art style, then it would have been much, much better, and the epicness would have been much more impactful, if that's a word. The impressiveness of this game doesn't show through as much as it could do, and I was just playing the demo. I was bored of all these cutscenes by the end. I was like, okay, great cutscene, but I can't skip it because it's part of the story. Oh well, great, what's going to happen? And it's kind of basic. And look, this just sums up the whole thing. You have a girl watching some guy fall to earth who's being poked by a giant sword. There's a nuclear explosion and he just gets stabbed to shit. Now, one thing that this game does do well is music, and I'm just going to play you the music. It's awesome. I love the music in this game. Just watch and listen.
Ha ha ha! This is what I live for! This is why we exist! But all good things must come to an end. You knew this was coming.
Now on to the verdict. Okay, this is a demo. This is meant to sell you the game. And unfortunately, it didn't sell me Asura's Wrath. Yes, I would play it if it was in the pre-owned section for a tenner. I'd definitely buy it because I played the demo and I've enjoyed it to a limit. But it isn't a game I'd get at release date for full release price. It just doesn't appeal to me. The quick time events, the presentation, the grand epicness of everything doesn't appeal to me as a gamer. I prefer much more intimate storylines rather than some guy punching another guy to death. Yeah, there seems to be some sort of storyline to it, but nothing deep, nothing emotional, nothing that was going to get me thinking. It's just some guy who's really, really angry, taking on a load of gods just because he's pissed. One thing this game does do well is music. I love the music in this game. The music goes so well. It complements everything about this game. But it's just a small section. I don't buy a game to listen to its music. I'm sorry. Even Zelda Ocarina of Time, the music in that is great, but I'm not like, wow, this game is brilliant because of the music. The music is such a small part of the game that it, even though it complements it, it doesn't really do much for me. So my advice to you, if you're interested in Asura's Wrath, check out the demo. The demo is probably the best way to check if you like this game, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not one I'd recommend. But if you're a fan of these types of games, then it's probably perfect for you. If you're a fan of Kratos, go for Asura. That's probably the best advice anyone and I can give you. So I've been Jack from the Zombie Box Project. Peace out.